Hey folks, good morning. It's a beautiful, cool day. I just finished my weekly grocery shopping. Now I'm heading up to my last tasking for the day and just trying to relax the best I can. So, I was looking at the federal database and the local database on missing and exploited children, adults, things like that. And I realized something years ago, and it's something it still bothers me every day. It seems like every time I look at the missing and exploited children and exploited missing individual listing, I don't seem to reflect. A, there's a diversity aspect about it, but when I see where it's posted or where who's talking about the missing, it's really it's really a different pattern because it's not really consistent. Why am I talking about it? Because I'm I'm I have an email list and Facebook and other social media that has give me alert of every possible missing children, missing adults, everything like that. But one of the things that I had to do was look for. I don't see a lot of indigenous missing individuals, especially women, because that's one of the aspects that was in the discussion for years. That there's not a lot of what do you call it, displayed missing indigenous women who've been missing from the reservation or missing from other regions. That's very prominent, and a lot of people don't talk about it. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's in law enforcement, and he's saying that there is a disparity in many of these missing individuals, and it's really hard to really set apart the foundation. Excuse me. And what I'm trying to do here is put forth that every individual that's missing, every individual that's exploited, from children to teens to young individuals to elderly, if they're missing, we need to do more to put their face, their situation forward in a social media platform, in a media platform, in every aspect. I don't really care what ethnicity a person is, what age a person is, what social status a person is. Missing is missing. But that's what we talk about in one aspect, and people seem to say, oh, it's not a big thing or whatever. To me, here's the point, okay? It might be a big thing for somebody, but it's a big thing for the family and friends of missing individuals. Let me give you an example, okay? A few years ago, I was following what we call a report, and it was a report that I never thought I would be reading. It was a report about a mother and her daughter who was killed. What's really sad, they were buried in a sense of a pauper's grave. They were buried behind the back of a police station or law enforcement station, whatever it was. But what really was sad and demeaning, let me point it out, is that this was the grave of many individuals, from women to young men or elderly men, who people didn't seem to realize was present in that shallow that grave. There was no names. Some had markers, some didn't. But the point the investigator noted was that when law enforcement and community don't really care who these individuals are, how far have we gone as a society? The mother and the daughter who was killed did finally get a proper grave, proper marker. They were identified. But it took individuals who was not family, strangers within the community. When they found out, when these community members and others found out that behind this building or establishment was buried men and women, children who had no home. That's what people were told. Instead, they were not informed because of certain situations, certain aspect, and a couple of them were Indigenous women. That became a real situation for me personally. When you start reading this news, this report, if you still think about these individuals as whatever culture, what color skin, what age, then we have lost humanity. I want to share this because I'm tired of seeing missing and exploited children and men and women who's not, I would call it, front and center in many of these reports. And for me, I'm very lucky that I get all these alerts. After a while, people say, I don't really look at these alerts. But let me remind people this, okay? That's someone's daughter. That's someone's son. That's someone's mom, dad, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, cousins, grandmother, grandfathers. In this country alone, there are thousands and thousands of missing and exploited individuals. Politicians, politics, they use numbers and things like that to enamor you to believe that they're going to do the best they can. Some of them do, some of them don't. But for me as a citizen, I'm sad. I'm sad when I see a child is missing. I'm sad when somebody's missing. But when you start pick and choosing what you put into these alerts and you don't show the entire gambit of what's missing out there, no matter their ethnicity, their value, their status, their station in life, it should never matter. People don't really think about anything like this unless it affects you. Many of you might be wondering, why am I so passionate about it? Years back, I met a lot of families whose kids were missing. Some kids were found, and some has never been found. I think about that every day when I advocate for a lot of things I do. I don't really care what a person looks like, what gender, what ethnicity, what color, what station. Like I said, I don't really care. What I care is people willing to do their best to find and help get these families together. You might be surprised and you might be astonished. There's still intolerance, even in a situation when there's a missing person. That gambit exists. But there's not a lot of people willing to stand up to say, hey, we need to stop this BS. Let's help each other find this child, this grandfather, this whatever. Let's put up the picture of the Indigenous woman that's missing. We need to put up the pictures of this kind of person missing. Does it really matter that the person missing is a drug addict? Does it really matter if the person's missing is a grandparent that is homeless? Those are ethical questions I ask everybody. And I'm asking you to please have the compassion, the empathy, and the common sense to look at those pictures one by one. And maybe sometimes you might forget one person, but if you can find in your heart, in your mind, to look at the picture, maybe you might be able to be the one that saved the life of somebody. That's your choice. I'm posting this because there's a picture of a little girl that's been in my mind for for years. The mother was just released a few weeks ago, I think, if I remember right. This is the same woman who can, does not has not cooperated with law enforcement. Law enforcement cannot prove that she killed or done anything to the girl. I've been following this case since the beginning. Do I know the kid? No. Do I know the mother? No. But I know the situation. I've seen the situation before. The sad thing is, the situation is something it's taught to a lot of people in law enforcement in behavioral science. This will happen again, but it takes real individuals willing to stand up and say, hey, you know what? We need to stop this crap and let's start helping each other. So please, ladies and gentlemen, share the pictures, especially those individuals who are marginalized and not often put up in missing pictures. Maybe a lot of people might not like what I'm saying, but you know what? Unless you are the parent or loved one of that missing individual, that missing child, that missing elderly, that missing disabled individual, that missing indigenous woman, indigenous man, that missing teen, that missing loved one, they need our help. If you think I'm wrong, tell me. If you think I'm right, tell me. But for now, do me a favor. Open your heart, open your mind, open your soul, open your eyes, and make a real difference in the life of many people, even strangers. Give them a chance to look at their family, to bury their family, to help their family. Because in this world, we are all the same in many ways. Some people out there might think we're not. Some people out there might think we're different from every faction. To me, we're all human beings. If you don't feel like helping your fellow man, then I pray for you and I hope the best for you. Because in the end, the only people who can help us is ourselves and those around us. So for now, take care, stay safe, and remember, the biggest safety net is the safety net of the ones who loves you, who's looking for you. And for us as individuals, let's help the family find their loved ones. So for now, take care and stay safe, everyone.